So today we've got some celebrity news and gossip to get into, some trending topics to get into, if you will, with what's going on with Janet Jackson, Diddy, and Beyonce. So there's a few stories I want to get to and I want to give my commentary on. The first is the fallout. I've got to defend my girl Janet, but we got to talk about what happened here regarding her comments on Kamala Harris. So this is from page 6. It says, inside Janet Jackson's Kamala Harris PR nightmare, brother Randy controls her career. It says, Janet Jackson sings about control, but some people in her circle worry that she's handing it over to someone else. Amid the fallout from her comments about Kamala Harris's race and her camp's chaotic attempts to manage the situation, insiders are pointing fingers at her brother and manager, Randy Jackson. Sources say the PR disaster proves that Randy is too inexperienced to handle her affairs and has become too loud a voice in her ear. It says the furor began on Saturday after the Guardian newspaper published an interview with the Control singer. When the interviewer asked Janet her thoughts on Harris becoming the first black female president should she defeat Donald Trump in November, Janet responded, "She's not black, that's what I heard, that she's Indian." Despite Harris's making history as America's first black and South Asian female vice president in 2020, Janet continued, "Her father is white. That's what I was told. I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days. I was told they discovered her father was white." Harris's parents are immigrants. Her father is from Jamaica and her mom is from India. The criticism on social media was swift and devastating as comedian D.L. Hughley blasted the interview as sounding like a Trump rally and even took a shot at the singer's plastic surgery. It's a little ironic to question whether someone is black while you're breathing through the nose of a white woman, he wrote on Twitter. We're told that her inner circle was perplexed by the interview and feared that the fallout could become more severe than that of Nipplegate after her infamous Super Bowl performance 20 years ago because of her comments could tarnish her sterling reputation as a champion of marginalized groups. The Rock and Roll Hall of Famer has tackled social issues such as homophobia, female empowerment, and racism in her work, and her trademark tune calls for the world to unite behind her music. How can she sing about Rhythm Nation and make comments like that, said an insider. It doesn't sound like her. She's too methodical. I don't know what to make of this. The source adds Jackson, who lives in London, doesn't really watch the news anymore. She lives in a bubble. We're told Janet learned of the outrage while partying with her crew, including designer Christian Siriano in Paris. Janet and Randy's attitude was just to let it blow over. They weren't planning to address it, another source told us. Meanwhile, a man named Moam Almzarami, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, claiming to be her manager, issued an apology on her behalf to BuzzFeed, only for her rep to walk it back in Variety and declare Al-Mazri doesn't work for Janet. The further said the Jackson siblings would not be commenting on the interview as they are mourning their older brother Tito, who passed away last week. Things got even more confusing after the People magazine published another apology, which had updated after the rep told him he does not represent Janet in any capacity, according to the article. Al-Mazri, sorry if I'm butchering your name, later alleged Janet and Randy fired him after attempts to improve her image in front of public opinion and her fans, and this is something I don't deserve. This is not the first time Al-Mazri has claimed that he managed Janet. In August, he announced the singer's upcoming Las Vegas residency as her manager. Janet's publicity team later sent out an official announcement, but curiously didn't address Al-Mazri speaking on the singer's behalf then. But multiple sources insist no one in her camp knows who he is. It's completely out of the blue. No one's heard of this guy, not a breath of him, one insider told us. Another source told us that they've never heard this guy's name in his life and believes Randy brought him on. Randy's sabotaging her legacy because he's not savvy. She's giving Randy control, and no one understands how he's managing her when he has never had a career. She pays for everything, they claim. They further told us Janet listens to Randy, who is a Trump supporter and conspiracy theorist. Janet's bubble is small, and she listens to Randy. She does peddle in conspiracy theories, they added. Janet spoke about Randy as her manager in the interview and explained he's the reason she hasn't released new music. She announced her Black Diamond album and tour before the COVID lockdowns began in 2020, but never released the record. When asked about the Toss album, Janet told The Guardian, "I feel so badly about that. I've recorded a lot of music that's just sitting on the shelf. I went to my brother Randy, and I think he's just waiting for the opportune time." What? Sources, however, told us Janet doesn't have enough material for a new album and hasn't recorded in the studio since before the pandemic. I don't know why she keeps promising new music because there is none, at least not enough for a full album, a third source confirmed. In the meantime, Janet is closing out the second leg of her Together Again tour in London and preparing a return to Las Vegas for a new residency at the end of the year, and people decline to comment. But this is my problem. So here's the thing. You know, I'm a Janet stand down. I've seen her in concert multiple times. I've met her multiple times and all of the things, you guys. Here's the thing. I love my family, you guys. And I know you guys love your family. Here's the thing, though. But the Jackson family, this dynamic, this thing where these people think that they know what's best for each other, it never ends well. It never ends well. And Janet, didn't you even say in your documentary how you were upset with your father because you did not like the direction of the first couple of albums? You felt that you were not able to be yourself. You didn't like the wardrobe. You didn't like the songs you were singing and all of the things. And then finally, when you linked up with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, it was a completely new outlook, a completely new sound, a completely new everything. So you have seen that working with your family, Janet, does not work out for you. And I get it. You are in this bubble. You are in this space in the entertainment industry where there's all types of leeches. There's all types of people who are toxic and are trying to sabotage you, want your money, want your clout, want all of this access and all of these things. But nonetheless, Randy Jackson, there's nobody in the family that has any experience. Are you like seriously? You just pulled out of a hat and was like, which one of my brothers should I have that's going to torpedo my career? No. And usually, and it's so odd because Janet has had some of the best PR people in her career to where she's hardly had to ever address anything. And literally the biggest scandal was Nipplegate. But outside of that, she has basically had no scandals. And if there was a scandal, it was quickly covered up. It disappeared, right? But what Randy Jackson is doing and trying to undo as far as Janet's legacy isn't okay. I'm not here for it, you guys. Not everybody, just because they're family or friends, not everybody always has your best interests. And the political climate we're in, the cancel culture we're in. Now, I don't think any outrage or negativity is big enough to get Janet canceled, right? But nonetheless, this wasn't it, right? But shout out to the PR person, whoever, quickly pivoted and put out that Eve article. Did you guys hear about that? The Eve article where she said that she was at a VMAs after party in the 2000s, and somebody spiked her drink or was trying to spike her drink and roofie her. And I think initially Missy came in, but Eve was like too out of it or not coherent enough to really tell her what was happening. But then when Janet came in, she immediately knew what to do. She immediately knew what to get to help Eve snap out of it and save her life, you guys, because there are leeches and problematic people in this entertainment industry. And she knew the right cocktail, no pun intended, to get Eve right. So shout out to whoever got that article out quick, fast, in a hurry, right? But the other piece of this too, right, is this conspiracy theories on why this happened, right? So people are like, oh, well, they don't like Kamala Harris because, you know, she was against Michael Jackson during Michael Jackson's legal stuff, right? And then people are like, well, you know, Trump loves the Jackson family and Michael Jackson and him are good friends and blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. None of that is relevant right now in 2024. None of it's relevant right now. Make it make sense. But Janet, you got to make a decision, because I remember the last tour, not this current tour, but your past tour. When you were previously in Vegas for your residency, you were talking about this Black Diamond album. like we got to make some things happen here. And it's just very odd that you had all these plans, you had all these things you want to do, and your brother can just shut it down like this. Michael, I don't think, would have allowed this. Michael would have never. He would have told you to continue to put out music, continue to do what you love, and all of the things. I don't know what's going on with Randy Jackson, but it's giving jealousy. It's giving jealousy, and it's giving sabotage, you guys. And the one thing I want to speak on is this, too. The final thing regarding Janet. So the timing of this article that came out, because I saw that there was confusion and assumption that Janet just happened to release this article when around the time her brother passes away. No. These celebrities, as you guys know, do these magazine interviews weeks, sometimes months in advance. It is the fall, which is a lot of the time when the big time, you have your Vogue, your GQ magazines, your big name magazines, they always have your quarterly articles that are going to come out with your A-list celebrities. And so if they did this interview weeks ago, and wanted to have this for a September release where they knew that was going to get the most eyeballs on it, what better way to throw this out here right before the election, right before people have to vote in November? Can you make it make sense? They knew exactly what they were doing. Putting that article out here, right? Putting it out here in September, a couple months before the election, a couple months before you have to vote, and getting that soundbite, getting that quote from Janet. It was all a setup, if you ask me, right? But I'm going to need Janet, though, and this is me. This is me as a fan. I love Janet, but I'm going to need you to be informed if you're going to talk about certain topics. You can't just be out here willy-nilly spreading conspiracy theories by Randy Jackson. That's not going to cut it, Janet. You can't do that. You're too big and you've been into this business way too long, way too many decades to make rookie mistakes like this. You were better off saying no comment. But trying to correct somebody about Kamala Harris's background and then you didn't even have the facts on her background wasn't it, Janet. And if that was fed to you by Randy, even a bigger L. An absolute L, you guys. Because it sounds like the talking points from the Trump campaign. Oh, Kamala, she's not really black. She's black now because she needs your vote. That is exactly what somebody, on that is supporting for Trump and wants Trump to win and get elected again would say something like that to, refute Kamala Harris. But I don't understand because she's been the vice president. So this isn't new information. But Janet, I hope at some point she realizes she needs to fire her brother as her manager because he is doing a horrible job. A terrible job, because there should be no reason on this earth in 2024 that Janet Jackson should be getting dragged under any circumstances. And then the audacity of D.L. Hughley to attack her looks or attack anybody getting plastic surgery is just disgusting. Y'all know what that family went through in that household, and you're surprised that they all got plastic surgery? Seriously? Make it make sense. But that has nothing to do with anything. But I don't even understand, even that angle, right? Because it doesn't even make any sense. But nonetheless, I just wanted to speak on that. Because it did not make any sense. And then it just made matters worse that Janet found this out because of her brother. And then the backtracking and then the retracking and all the things. It was a hot mess. So next we need to talk Diddy, right? And so next, regarding Diddy, and this is coming from the Los Angeles Times, it says the feds appear to target those involved in Sean Diddy Combs' freak-offs as probes enter a new phase, you guys. It says for decades, Diddy has promoted himself as one of the godfathers of hip-hop, a celebrity who transformed the genre and become a business estimated top $1 billion. But the status is now taking on a different meaning now that federal prosecutors have charged him in a sweeping sex abuse racketeering case that threatens scrutiny to others in his orbit. Authorities are pushing him with the same racketeering laws that took down the likes of John Gotti and James Whitey Burglar. He sits in a jail cell in Brooklyn where many a mobster knows well. Combs has been the subject of a sweeping federal probe since the beginning of the year and was arrested in New York on Monday. He had pleaded not guilty on Tuesday after prosecutors unsealed their indictment against Combs, charging him with sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution, and racketeering. They allege Combs abused women during so-called freak-off parties. Combs has denied any wrongdoing. They're very much treating this matter like a mobster case and articulating various roles that different people played in supporting the conspiracy, says Louis Shapiro, who defends clients in federal and criminal proceedings. Prosecutors have been silent about exactly where the case is going next, but they called out employees and associates for helping Combs and often covering up for him. If I were a celebrity who participated in one of Combs' freak-offs, I would be shaking in my boots. At best, they're a witness in a case that's very likely going to trial. At worst, they're a co-defendant, former federal prosecutor Nima said. 50 witnesses, 300 warrants. Shapiro said that the government has interviewed more than 50 witnesses and served more than 300 warrants, and it's clear it's far more than the word of dozens or so women who have accused Combs of sexual abuse and litigation filed since last fall when his former girlfriend Cassie filed a lawsuit and Combs settled with significant payout within 24 hours. Several witnesses who work with Combs have been in meetings with federal prosecutors and at least one sex worker slated to testify in a potential grand jury proceeding, according to sources familiar with the investigation. As to whether others will be charged or more charges are forthcoming, prosecutors are saying it remains active. I can't take anything off the table. Anything is possible, said Damian Williams, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, announcing the indictment. Our investigation is very active and ongoing. Assistant Attorney Emily Johnson in court last week reminded both judges of the threat Combs poses to witnesses, freak-offs, and cover-ups. Combs is accused of using his entertainment empire to lure female victims and employing violence and coercion and drugs to get women to take part in freak-offs, elaborate sex performances that often were recorded and sometimes lasted days since 2009. Prosecutors allege the music icon's business network has ultimately been about furthering his criminal conduct. Because of the threats of violence, concerns that their financial support would be withdrawn, and sensitive recordings that will be circulated, victims didn't believe that they could refuse Combs without risking their security or facing more abuse, Williams said. The Combs enterprise, as the government calls it, consisted of Combs the leader and the business entities, his record label, Bad Boy Entertainment, and its employees and associates. In civil litigation against Combs this last year, at least one top executive was labeled by Ghislaine, sorry if I'm butchering her name, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's sidekick, who is serving 20 years for supplying the women the deceased mogul sexually abused. Prosecutors have not named other targets in the investigation and have provided few details of where it could go next, but legal experts expect more names to come out, either as defendants or witnesses at Combs' trial. Parallels to the mob. Former LA prosecutor Dimitri said prosecutors are trying to paint a picture of Combs as a top racketeer who sent orders to his underlings. Combs has denied this, but if true, this arrangement could be similar to several high-profile mob prosecutions from the past, and the cases who's often hinged on lieutenants turning on their bosses. Who is Salvador Sammy the Bull Gravano here? He asked, referring to the mob enforcer who turned on his boss, Gotti. These days, he doesn't know who to trust from his lawyers. Combs' legal troubles had been building for months. In civil lawsuits, multiple women have accused Combs of rape, sexual assault, and other abuses dating back 3 decades. One of the allegations involved a minor. Combs' lawyers note federal prosecutors have not alleged any of his conduct involves minors, like disgraced R&B singer R. Kelly, who is serving 30 years for racketeering and sex trafficking. The Kelly case, however, may be a roadmap for his prosecution, legal experts say. In that case, many key associates testified against the artist along with multiple victims. Over the years, the usage of Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, or RICO, has expanded. It often is used against gangs ranging from the Mexican Mafia to South LA Crips. Racketeering cases have also been brought to against rappers associated with street gangs, including Young Thug, K-Flock, Casanova, and Fetty Wap. A shocking video, but also questions, is expected to be a key piece of evidence in any trial. An incident captured on security's video is Diddy's former girlfriend, Cassie, who was victim one in the indictment, is seen running down an Intercontinental Hotel halfway before Combs catches up to her, repeatedly strikes her, and throws a vase at her. Mark, Combs' attorney, said his client battled drug addiction and anger issues and did go to rehab following the 2016 episode caught on a hotel security camera, as did the women in the video. They were in love, but he insists there's no greater scheme and that those who participated in the sex described by prosecutors did so consensually. I believe he's innocent of the charges and he's going to go to trial. I believe he's going to win. And they said that they want a trial as soon as possible. Prosecutors said the video, first broadcasted by CNN in May, showed a woman trying to escape coerced sex with Combs and paid sex worker. They said Combs tried to unsuccessfully silence one of the hotel security staff with a bribe, and the recording disappeared from the hotel server a few days later. They also said Combs had threatened 2 other victims with releasing videos of them if they cooperated with authorities. The indictment doesn't identify any of Combs' alleged victims by name, but includes allegations echoed by Cassie in a lawsuit settled last year, and in several lawsuits, other women and a male producer. Also said that Cassie sued last fall after a discussion by her lawyer that a Combs attorney to buy the rights to her tell-all book for $30 million. He said it points to a financial motive. Combs declined the deal, but within a day of the lawsuit being filed, a settlement was reached. Mr. Combs is a fighter. He is trying to fight this to the end. He came to New York to establish his innocence, and he is not afraid and isn't afraid of the charges. So here's the thing, you guys. This is just, it's like one thing after another. Every single day, something more comes out about Diddy that's just more disturbing. And also, I found it interesting. I believe Usher and Pink have like deleted all their tweets on Twitter. Are they going to be witnesses that are going to be called for this case? Also, since the Diddy arrest, you guys, Beyonce and Jay-Z have each lost 4 million followers on their Instagrams, you guys. So nonetheless, there is a lot of eyeballs on other A-list celebrities that potentially could either be A, under investigation, or B, assisting with this investigation and trying to ultimately assist in the takedown of Diddy, or prevent themselves from also being one of another defendant in the case. But nonetheless, there is a lot here to unpack. And and it's just so wild. I believe I read that Diddy, he can get a special meals if he wants to. He is staying at a place in a ward that is for people who are unalive risk. However, Diddy himself is not an unalive risk. They said that he's not been eating because he's worried about his food being poisoned. But they said he also has a special menu that he can have access to at the commissary, and he can use up to $165. Now, I don't know if that's for the whole day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but somebody else had mentioned it's for per visit, right? And so they were saying all the stuff that he could have, such as like ribeye and French toast and like all these things, and like what costs $5 and all of these things, you guys. And it's just mad. It is just absolutely mad, because when you break it down, is he really struggling in this ward? This ward sounds like, an upgrade compared to general population, right? So very interesting here. I just think that they've got a lot on Diddy, and I think that unfortunately I don't see how he is going to get out of this. Even with all the bribes and all of these high-powered people Diddy may know, and even some of these people that may be on these videos, I just don't see how Diddy's going to come out of this if there is all this evidence and the feds have a 98 or a 99% conviction rate. How is he going to get out of that? I was thinking this whole time that Diddy thought he was going to get out of this, or that he was never going to get arrested, or if he snitched or cooperated, that he was never going to go behind bars and they were going to make somebody else the fall guy or the scapegoat. But the fact that he actually got arrested, I don't see how this is going to work out in his favor. And I know some people are spreading that he's going to get out on bail, and I would be shocked to see it. because other people now are coming down as a result, politicians and others. And I still can't get over the 1,000 baby oil, you guys. The 1,000 things of baby oil. Make it make sense, even though we know what it was for, unfortunately, right? But nonetheless, that is the latest update on Diddy. We'll continue to update on Diddy. It's just, I think sometimes for me, I have to take a break from the Diddy stuff because it's sad and it's disgusting. And, you know, sometimes your mental health and everything else, it's like, you know, but as far as like what's actually taking place with the case, I do really want to document it because I feel it's important for people to know, you know, some of these people, you glorify this music industry, you glorify these celebrities, and unfortunately, the more power some of them have, the more they use it to do the most disgusting and heinous things possible. And it's really, really, really eye-opening, the worse that it gets every time somebody gets exposed. So there's that with that. Now, the last story that I wanted to get to is Miss Beyonce, you guys. Because a couple of things. So we had, of course, the CMAs. We had the Country Music Awards where Beyonce had all these nominations and she did not win, right? And then we had last night, we had the country's People Choice Country Music Awards, in which Beyonce was the most nominated for 12 awards, you guys, and she also was shut out completely. And it's funny because Shabuzi and Post Malone, they both won awards though. And, you know, I believe Shabuzi had shouted Beyonce out or whatever. But nonetheless, we're going to talk about it because some of these people feel a certain type of way on social media. And they're upset. This is coming from Parade. And this is a fan voted. See, this is the thing too. It's a fan voted award. People's Choice has always been fan voted. So they had the show. It was in Nashville on Thursday, on yesterday, you know, and there was no new resume additions. Some fans were upset about this. They said not a single one. Who feels like fighting? Who's going to pay? Somebody said burn it all down, regarding that they're just using Beyonce for views. Well, we know Beyonce was not going to win because if Beyonce was not at the awards, that means she knew in advance she was not going to win. Shout out to Kanye. Remember Kanye in that rant said that Beyonce never goes to the award shows unless she knows she's guaranteed an award. So this tracks, right? And so basically, you know, some people feel that this is controversial because she lost with the, you know, Country Music Awards and all this other stuff. But here's my thing. I don't find it controversial at all. You guys forgot at the beginning of this whole rollout, which I dragged for Cowboy Carter, was that it originally wasn't even a country album. Remember the original vinyls that did not even have like 6 or 7 country songs on it to begin with? This whole rollout in itself has been nothing but an utter disaster, and it's about to fall off the charts, you guys. That is why Beyonce is the Avon lady right now. She's trying to sell you whiskey. She's trying to sell you hair products. She's trying to sell you everything but a tour, but the quickest thing that will make her the money she's looking for, which is a Vegas residency. But she couldn't even get that correct because she wanted the Sphere shut down for her. And it's like the Sphere still has to run. Just like all of the hotels on the Strip in Vegas still have to run. They don't shut down the whole hotel because Bruno Mars is performing or because Celine Dion's performing or because Boyz II Men's performing. They still have a business to run. Beyonce really thought that they were going to shut down the Sphere for, I think, what was it, 3 weeks or something, so that the dancers and the set and everything could like remain. It could be like her whole personal thing. And my thing is this: as much as you've toured, you can replicate the facility anywhere you want to, even in Las Vegas. But to take down a touring attraction and that other artists are going to use for their concerts as well is bogus. But this is part of the reason why Beyonce has not won. So here's the thing. Let's just break it down for what it is, right? Beyonce wanted to get back into the white audience, wanted to get back into the white demographic. And what better demographic than the country music artists, right? Except for, I would say, since Formation, her white audience really hasn't been there for her like that anymore. Like I always reference, I don't know if you ever saw the Saturday Night Live skit where they said they realized Beyonce was black, and that was, I believe, around the time Formation came out. That was when the white audience was like, thanks, but no thanks, Beyonce. You know, you're no longer doing the quote-unquote safe music, the safe pop music. There's no more Single Ladies or Halo or Crazy in Love or anything like that. Now you're doing politically focused music, which is going to turn off a certain demographic, you guys. It just is, right? We're all grown here. We all know what it is. But the thing is, all this pandering specifically to the black community, what has it gotten Beyonce outside of a bunch of awards? It's not garnering her the money that she is wanting it to. And now that she's drained her fans of all of the thousands of dollars that they spend on her tours, she needs something to recoup. And so what better way to pivot to country except for there have been black artists in country forever. And she tried to replicate what K. Michelle was already doing. There's already successful black country music artists in the genre. And Beyonce tried to force herself into country music because of her fan base. She thought that her name was big enough to infiltrate country, and it doesn't work like that. Everybody saw it as a gimmick. Everybody saw through it as a money grab, which is why they did not respect it. And then some of the songs with all of the cussing and all of these things and just all of these horrible stereotypes that you have about country that's just not realistic, it didn't resonate with the people. And then trying to put out 30 songs on the album in hopes that it was going to stay on the charts forever and stream forever was an utter joke when people can't even get past one song. But the biggest thing in all of this that makes this all ironic is the first thing Beyonce wanted to say was that this is not a country album, this is a Beyonce album. And it's like, but you're doing everything to pander to the country music fan. But the music isn't country. You may have utilized some country artists. You may have remade specifically a country song or two. But that doesn't make it a country album. So I don't know whose advice this was. I don't know if this was, Jay-Z's advice or what, but the whole rollout of this has been a disaster. And then not putting out music videos, and you haven't been putting out any music videos? Oh, no. It's giving broke. It's giving rich people broke. It is. And you still have the tax lien situation that you're covering up, that you keep pushing back the date to address that. You owe a couple million in taxes. And if you can't even pay the IRS, like, what are we doing? What are we doing if you cannot even pay the IRS, right? But nonetheless, I don't think Beyonce thought this through. I think she moved up the album because she found out Taylor Swift was coming, and she quickly wanted to do, these gimmick albums to try to, have a story. Remember, she had a story for Act 1 of Renaissance. Now there's a whole story. The reason that Cowboy Carter happened was because of something that we're just hearing about now that happened when she performed with the Dixie Chicks at the CMA Awards and all these things. And the country music fans said, thanks, but no thanks. We do not want you here. And it had nothing to do with racism because, like I said, there are black country music artists that are out there that are fine. And there are black people such as Nelly and others that'll dabble into country songs and, do different collaborations like a Post Malone and others. And it's no issue. The issue is Beyonce. So many people have been under her spell for so long and have not seen through the gimmicks and the lies and the manipulation. And now that you've run out of favor with a lot of people, now people are going in on you and your husband. And more so than not, a lot of people are just sick and tired. You don't have to force yourself down everyone's throat. And nobody has to force to like your music. And I think Beyonce is finally starting to see that all of these years of front loading all this PR, that she's the best ever, and these horrid comparisons to Michael Jackson, that was just an insult to Michael Jackson and his legacy, but then just trying to rack up all these awards in response to say, hey, well, since I'm the most awarded, that means I'm the greatest. No. Number one, you should be thanking your father, because a lot of these new categories were added because of him. A lot of these new categories, especially in R&B and hip hop, exist because of him. But that's not the flex that you think it is. Because the other side of it is a lot of your peers, such as, a lot of the greats that either still here or no longer with us, don't have as many Grammys as you, but I can argue have a better discography than you. I could argue Lauryn Hill's one album is better than most of your catalog. I can argue that Mariah Carey's discography is better than yours. I can argue Whitney Houston's is better than yours. I can argue Rihanna's is better than yours. Because there's more hits. There's more songs of substance, and the difference between them and you is some of them are real songwriters, and some of them actually pay real songwriters. You skimming off the top, the publishing and the writing credits, so that you can constantly get the royalties, but if nobody is streaming or listening to the song, how much royalties are you really getting? Make it make sense. But I think people are just tired of the oversaturation and the overpraise of Beyonce, and people are just sick of it. And especially with all of the stuff going on now with Diddy, everybody's eyeballs are on the music industry and who else is corrupt. And it is not the time to be forcing out, trying to make fetch happen and trying to, rally a certain base with a false presentation of a country album that you said is not a country album. You said it yourself. But nonetheless, how am I going to feel sorry for somebody who's the most awarded Grammy winner? When it's even hard for established artists who are just as talented, who write their own music, who have better music than Beyonce, who still don't have an award. I just want everyone to keep the same energy. You can't win everything, you guys. But it was obvious from the jump what Beyonce was trying to do in country, and then she started off trying to make it about race, and it just wasn't going to work. How about we accept that maybe the album just isn't good? How about we accept, if we go back to paying actual songwriters and actual producers, maybe more people would actually stream your music? How about we be honest and go on that Vegas residency or go do that tour so that you can generate money instead of trying to be like Rihanna and others who have found a niche in these other ventures because they have the fans and they have the marketing and they have the proof in their products that it works. But this whole thing where we're just going to throw whiskey at the wall and see if it sticks. We're going to throw hair care at the wall and see what it sticks, even though your mom's the one promoting the hair care line and all these things. That's not going to work anymore, Beyonce. You can't do the mute challenge to your own consumers. It doesn't work that way. And then trying to do promo videos and promo pictures after the fact, people see through it. We were never known, Beyonce. We're not trying to buy your clothes. We're not trying to look like you. We're not trying to do any of those things. So that's the biggest disconnect of all. But nonetheless, this entitlement with the country music, when the music itself wasn't even good to begin with, it was a joke. And if the rumors are true that you're still doing another rock album or another duet album with Jay-Z, it's not going to end well, Beyonce. It's not. Trying to force yourself in all these other genres. Listen, you can make any type of genre of music you want to, but the problem with you is everything is so calculated. And when everything is so calculated, it turns off people and people don't want to entertain it. This is why at times I say you still need your father as your manager, because he covered up a lot of your messiness. And the other side is your mom basically gaslights the messiness and basically confirms without confirming that this is what you guys complain about. But this entitlement that Beyonce needs to win everything, even for mediocre to low vibrational types of music, isn't going to cut it, you guys. The right decision was made in her not winning anything at all. Because enough is enough. And we can do a whole separate video on the alleged career attempts of sabotage that she's done to other black female artists. And the act of sabotaging, allegedly, that's taking place of Chloe and Halle. But this is a long time coming, and finally people have woken up, and finally enough people are no longer afraid of Beyonce, which is why you see a lot more people are louder with their frustration and irritation as it pertains to what the Carters are doing. So there is that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.